Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to do is to talk about buying watches online. And I realize that in the period of time that I have allocated myself on this, I'm just going to touch upon a few things. But I think they might be useful, especially for beginners and some of us old dogs. Maybe there's some new tricks you can teach us in the comments. I hope so anyway. Okay, so let's say that you want to watch, and one of the first things I think is important to have some kind of idea. It doesn't have to be specific. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It'd be a formal watch, a chronograph, a travel watch of some sort, an auto sports watch, a rectangular watch, an office watch. Have some kind of idea. A lot of times, if you don't have it, you can just go to a million different watches. Let me also suggest too, is don't become too rigid. Sometimes you'll see something when you're looking for a watch that you want, you'll find one that you may even like more. Okay, so let's take a look at when you're buying online, there are a lot more places than these places, but these are places I've had some experience with, or I know people who have. First of all, there's eBay. You can bid for a watch. You can buy it outright. And you can sort of get into an auction situation. Bidding and auction are pretty close, but not exactly the same. I bought some watches. I got one of the best deals ever on eBay, and I got one of the worst. When I say the worst, it was my own fault, okay? Wasn't anything wrong with the watch as the watch was made. They just put in a movement in the watch that they didn't exactly say what it was. I also thought I was getting the deal of a century. You got to be careful on that. Okay, here's some other ones. There's this for sort of higher level watches. There's a place called A Collected Man. It's an English site. And all of the prices are in pound sterling. Govberg is another. It's a great big site. They have two sort of parts to it. One is new watches. One is used watches, pre-owned watches. I bought watches there a couple times. Some problems, and this one that came up, sent it back. They fixed it. Two really good experiences with TikToking is another one I recently discovered. They also have some excellent of your higher level watches that you don't see every day. Shop worn. I had one of my biggest saves. I saved $10,000 on a watch at Shop worn, so I've got nothing but. Oh wait, no, it wasn't Shop worn. I saved a lot of money at Shop worn. It was at Joma Shop. Joma Shop. I bought a watch there years ago, and I got it for $10,000 under a list. So I was extremely happy. Shop worn. I've gotten watches there half price and less sometimes. So these are places. I mean, eBay and Chrono24 are probably the two most important. And a lot of times you're going to find ones on Chrono24 and eBay, and you'll find out they're really from Govberg or Shop worn or Joma Shop. So that's also happened. Now, a friend of mine who does sell watches. He's an American representative for a couple very nice watch companies. He likes to say buy the seller, and I think that's good advice. And what it means essentially, especially online, you want to buy from someone who's not going to stick it to you. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at sort of going through some of the things and starting off with the idea of buying a seller. If you go to Chrono24, down on the lower right-hand side, you'll have verified dealer since. This one is 2018. You can have all kinds of things as long as Chrono24 has been around. And the I I don't think I've seen one that doesn't have all-star reviews. I'm not sure what that is, but you know, it could be something. So I was looking around the other day, and so I decided, well, I'm going to find out about the, you know, where they're located in case they want to get my hands on them. So I looked up one. Now I had all of the names and places have been changed to protect the guilty. I'll put it that way. But I found this one. I call it Gumbo Junction Watches. It's in Gumbo, Louisiana. And this is a review. I put Billy Joe Beauregard, but it was another name. It says, this is what the review says. Now, you get two reviews there, which isn't very many. One is perfect, which is probably the guy who owns the shop, and the other one is pretty bad. He says, don't deal with these guys at Gumbo Junction Watches, especially Duke. Sold me a Rolex with a fake boot, but these are like used car salesmen. Try to get me to pay them with cash. Luckily, I used a credit card and was able to dispute the charges, was able to purchase a genuine Rolex from Bates Time right down the street. Now, the point about this is that this is somebody who walked into it. And they also happen to have an online thing. So it's something that it's good to know. Now, maybe this guy was written by the competition. This is another problematic thing you have to consider. Okay. So let's see, the next thing you find a dealer that looks okay and you're looking for a watch. In this case, let's say you're looking for an Omega's Seamaster Planet Ocean 37.5. You like the smaller size. And so I found this one. It was listed at $36.90, and the current version is pretty much the same watch with, I don't know what they've upgraded on it, but something apparently. But it's $7,800. So you're talking about a watch that's virtually twice the price. So this one is what they call unworn, which is the same as new. A lot of times these will have been sitting around a shop and they got to get rid of them, but they're not new. This one is, they have down there on the basic information, 2011. It's extremely important that you read all of this stuff, okay? That's very important. Sometimes a reference number will be the difference between exactly what you want and exactly what you don't want. The movement. Now, this is an important thing. The movement that they have here, and it'll say automatic. Well, that doesn't tell you anything. Well, it tells you it's automatic, but not much else. What you want to find is that they'll have a section. This is on Chrono 24. It says caliber. I've made it a little larger over there so you can see it. And the movement is a caliber 8520. It's a coaxial movement. That's important. The case size is 37.5. Well, sort of as advertised as that. It is extremely important that you look at the case size. There was a guy the other day who said, what do you think about this watch? And I looked at it, this is a great watch. But then I saw this very small case, and I told about that, and he had missed it. He hadn't looked at it. I've made the same mistake. So, it's one of the things happens. The other thing is sometimes they'll have like almost in the fine print at the bottom, it's called others. Now, what they have is luminescent numbers and indexes. It's a chronometer. It's got a rotating bezel and a helium valve. Well, that's important, right? That's really cool stuff to know. So this is simply one. So you're looking at this and say, this is something I'd like to have, but it's $36.90. I saw some other ones. They weren't quite as high, but they were a little different than this one. So I think I'm going to put in a different price. Now, where it says buy and then below it says suggest a price. If sometimes that suggest a price thing will be blanked out, which means that the seller's not going to not going to take a lower price. But this guy whoever the shop is, they would agree to do it. So if you go over here, now here's, for example, let's say the list price, full list price was $36.90. And if you put in something like, I put in $3,000 for illustration, as soon as I did that, up comes the sign that says your suggested price differs significantly from the advertised price. Price suggestions that are significantly different from the advertised price are usually rejected. We suggest that you raise your price suggestion. Now, what this reflects, in a way, is a very good thing for the seller. If I were selling a watch, I would probably go to Chrono24 because they're on your side as a seller, not on your side as a buyer necessarily. I mean, if you knock it down $50, they don't care, or something like that. But if you knock it down 690, there's a big range in there, they'll get all upset. Now, that's at the top. Now, you go to the bottom, and it says, I would like to send this price suggestion, even if it deviates significantly from, so you're a deviant now. And then you click, it says, I hereby acknowledge and accept general terms and conditions of sale and trust the checkout. Okay. Then at the bottom, it says, submit the price. Well, you feel like you're like some cheapskate or some criminal. No, you're not. Okay? Just trust me, you're not. Then at the bottom it says, once sent, the seller will review the price suggestion. The seller has to accept your suggestion before you can pay for them. Okay, in other words, I could, put in some really low price and, it's not accepted. One thing I will say, if you're going to do that, be prepared to get it for whatever you put in there. I wouldn't blame a seller for being very upset. You put in something, let's say you put in $3,690 under the asking price, and they accept it, and you say, well, maybe I'll take, I want $1,000 less. Don't do that. Whatever you put in, be ready to pay it, period. All right? That way you'll not get in trouble. Now, in the past, I've done this a lot of times, and I always have to go through this rigmarole that says you have a low price suggestion, and I got the watch. I've got that just about every time. So, I mean, I don't put down ridiculously low prices, but $690 is $690, and it's not crazy low. One of the things that I try to avoid is going out of the same amount. Now, if they have like $3,000 asking to begin with, then I might go down to the $2,000 something, but it's better if you just stay within the range. I think that's my theory. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, let's go on, see what else we have. Now, what this is, here's another thing that this is what I ran into. This is another watch, a Bulgari Octo DLC automatic men's watch, and there's a reference number and the price. The asking price was $3,799. Now, I happen to know that the price was almost $7,000. That's the original price. And I also happen to know that this particular Bulgari has an in-house movement. Bulgari has won 5 Grand Prix awards. Now, a lot of people think, they see Bulgari, I say fashion watch. It's not, all right? May have been at one time. Same with Hermes. Hermes owns 25% of Vaucher. There are a lot of interesting things that some of them have done, all right? Even Ralph Lauren has done a really interesting thing. Okay, so I see this, and I think, well, I'll suggest a price and see what happens. Now, here's something else you can do. Now, remember we talked about you want to check out the seller. So see who the seller is, because you want to find out who the seller is. So I go down and I check out the seller. Well, the seller, there it is. There's $37.99, same price that the other one that they had on Chrono24. Now, sometimes they'll be different, but usually they're the same. All right, so I look at this. There's the retail price was $69.50. That was the original. Here it is at, half of that almost, at $37.99. And then there's this little bitty red thing up there that says extra 20% off site-wide with code VDAY20. That's for Valentine's Day. wait a minute, so I can knock 20% off of this. I don't have to go through a big bargaining thing with them. So, let's see what happens. Okay, so here we've got to see. I worked all of this out. Here is the watch. It's $37.99, Septo 1, $37.99, free 2-day shipping, sales tax, discount $759. All right, without doing anything, without having to bargain or get rejected for bargaining. And so here I am with a $7,000 watch down to almost $3,000. So, and I've worked out the amount of saving almost $4,000 on that. And it's a watch. I like the watch. Okay, this isn't just like some junker or something like that. They've got doing some very, very, very good things because they've got lots of money. They could do these things. So anyway, so this is something that I think that, always just check. It doesn't hurt to check, check the site. Maybe they have some kind of special going. And they were having a special. It was a Valentine's special. And here it is, February. And so I'll take advantage of it. Okay, now the final thing, this is just one last thing. And this happened to me recently. You go after a watch that says reserved. Now, it's probably been sold. And they have a little thing that says activate notification. That means if the deal falls through. Now, something like that happened to me. There was, on the last watch I bought, which I ended up buying a watch I liked even better than the one I got turned down on. Sometimes the deal falls through. Like this one that I was looking at, I went back just to check and see what happened, because they said, well, by tomorrow noon it'll be sold. We'd promised it to someone, yada, yada, yada. That thing's still not sold. I got another watch. In fact, I got the one that I really liked. So it's sort of and for less money. So sometimes a reserved watch isn't sold. So if you're not in a hurry, you can click the activate notification. And if it falls through, then you may be able to get the watch. In fact, you may be able to get a really good deal on it because if it fell through, you're sort of the safety net. Okay, well, listen. Now, I know that someone's going to say, I can't believe you didn't mention X, their favorite site. Don't do that, okay? Here's what I'd like you to do. It says, my favorite site, and I've got really good deals, is X, all right? Then we can share something. I can't believe there are thousands of places to buy watches. I realize that, and I just want to talk about the ones that I had personal experience with or knew someone who did. So please don't say, I can't believe. All right. Oh, geez. All right. But I would like to hear your suggestions. Say, hey, here's a suggestion. Here's something you might try. Here's my experiences. Let's hear them. And until Sunday, when we have our collection review, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.